Howdy. So you're probably wondering why I am dressed up so nice right now, and I'm going to tell you. So I just got back from the reception of a 2-day wedding. First off, congratulations to Stephen and Ashley. It was awesome. I'm really happy for you guys. It was such a cool event. The first day was a traditional wedding that I had never experienced before, and it was just so neat to be a witness to it, and to basically be a fly in the corner and watch the whole thing. It was very cool. And then today was basically the reception of it. There was a little reception yesterday as well, but it just kind of extended to today. And so yesterday, I had to wear obviously nice clothing, and I'll put a little picture of here. I did a little photo booth thing, and I'll put that up there. And that is basically the only wedding appropriate clothing that I own. So I wore that yesterday, but I had to come up with something for today, obviously. And it sort of struck me later that I have a suit that I could wear, and this here is part of it, right? So it's this, and then I'll show you my pants here. You can see they're purple pants. Well, this is my Joker costume from, gosh, a couple years ago when I dressed up as basically Jared Leto's Joker, but with Heath Ledger's shirt. And so it's the only other appropriate style of clothes I have for any sort of wedding ceremony or any sort of fancy ceremony in general at all. So it's kind of funny that I wore this to their wedding reception, and I think it looks nice. I mean, turned out pretty well. The funny part about the first outfit was that when I was leaving, one of our friends, Aiden, said that I was giving off American Psycho vibes, which is great, except for the fact that it would put me on the wrong side of the axe from Patrick Bateman. So go figure there. And then to bring it full circle, I'm wearing my Jared Leto Joker costume, which is just a nice suit I bought, but it's definitely a costume. So funny enough about this shirt, when Ashley was making her rounds to thank people for coming to their reception, she actually made a comment how she liked this shirt. She thought the shirt looked cool, and I didn't explain further like, oh, this is a shirt I wore for a costume. Which actually, the funny part about that too is that Felicia and I actually hung out with Stephen and Ashley at a bar Stephen used to work at called Kiwis in Altamont Springs, Florida, the night that I actually wore this as a costume. But obviously the makeup I had on, kind of took away from the idea of whatever it was, so who would remember this shirt anyway? But so that was funny. But a curious part was actually one person at the wedding did realize exactly what this shirt was. There were two videographers at the reception, and the second one I don't think she had been there at the first ceremony, or maybe she had, I just hadn't seen her. She walked past me at one point and was with a cohort of hers and turned to that person and said, "That's the Joker shirt," but like kind of under her breath to the person. And I heard it. I'm like, "Oh, I heard you. You're correct. Nicely done. You're right. This is the Joker shirt." It's so funny. I'm like, I'm glad you got that. And she explained to me that she had been trying to search for it for a while because she actually dressed up as the Joker for Halloween a couple years ago as well, and just couldn't find the shirt anywhere. So that was kind of fun. But anyway, again, congratulations to you too. If you ever see this video, I really appreciated the invite. It was just so fun. It's such a interesting experience to go to the traditional style of wedding, and then it was just such a cool ceremony. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm really glad I went. Obviously, I'm glad I went for you guys because we're friends, obviously. But I'm just glad I also went to actually kind of learn some things. So it was cool. And again, congratulations. I'm really happy you guys are married. You have a great family. Both of you have great families that are now one family, which is kind of the whole point of the ceremony. It was a nice coming together of everybody. So congratulations, you guys. I appreciate the invitation. But anyway, the reason I really made this video is I have finally mixed a song that is not of my voice. So 4 years ago, in 2018, Felicia and I recorded a song called This Once. That's a duet that I wrote. And we put it out under the moniker Felohnny, which is us together as a duo. And, it was up for a while. It was fine, I guess. But, in looking back on it, because I'm kind of going back over old stuff now, or not old stuff, but just stuff that didn't quite work out, I was listening to it, and I realized that obviously in the last 7 months or so, I've learned so much. I mean, just in that short period of time, I mean, imagine 4 years ago how awful I would have sounded as a mixing engineer person. So and indeed, there's a lot of harshness to the sound quality. So, what I did, I obviously fixed the guitar a ton. I mean, just a ton. Felicia's voice is perfect. It was recorded great. She has such a strong, powerful, beautiful voice that all I had to do was re-EQ it, because I know a few more things about EQ, obviously, to take off a little bit of the high-end stuff that she didn't even want in there in the first place. If she had told me that I had screwed up, which she's completely correct, in the first place, like, there was a little bit of harshness that she didn't want in there, and I just figured out how to get that out, and all the new stuff. But then I also realized that what happened with the original recording was that I tried to match Felicia's powerful voice by being powerful in that same way myself, and I just did not sound good. So I don't have that kind of voice. Like, Felicia's range is just everywhere. She can do basically anything, and mine's the size of a pea. So, which is fine. I don't mind that. It's just I gotta make sure I stay within myself. So what I ended up doing was I re-recorded my vocals to it, and in my styling of singing, and matched it just, emotion-wise, basically, to what Felicia had done. And it actually turned out so much better. It's ridiculous. It's just crazy. But another good part of the learning process for mixing someone else's stuff, because again, it was Felicia's voice, granted, the song we did together, is that I scrutinized so much more about what I did with her voice. So, like, I went actually, after I had initially mixed her voice, I actually went and asked her how she thought the voice sounded, like her voice sounded, because I know that she likes 80s music a lot, and a lot of 80s music vocals have tons of reverb and delay on them, and and I thought maybe she'd want that in her voice because that's the style, a very strong style of music she likes, but I hadn't put that on there. I put it on there kind of how I wanted it to be anyway, but I asked her for her opinion, and the interesting part about that to me is that she actually didn't want the 80s style. She didn't want the excessive reverb and delay on it. She actually liked it where it's a little more straightforward and like, obviously that idea that I would say that a little bit curved, a little bit like cyclical, circular, whatever you want to call it, like a softness to it, but not like crazy echoey or anything like that. So it turned out really well that way, but it is interesting to learn through for myself that I am so much more inclined to be scrutinizing myself over someone else's thing that's going to come out. Like, I want them to be happy with it. I mean, obviously, it makes sense, but it's like, it was an interesting aside for it. But yeah, so it took that song, and it is now done, and I am mastering it currently. I don't have cover art for it, or single art, like the picture for it yet, so I'm going to put it at the end of this video, obviously, because I like to do that now with all these videos, is to put whatever I'm talking about at the end. But that just means that I have to figure out, I've got a few ideas, but I'm not sure exactly what to do with it yet. So I'm not sure when this video will come out, because I don't know when I'm going to have the cover art done, but the song is done. And another really interesting part about the song is that I had to match the voices in terms of power for each one of them. So, like, that was actually the toughest part. So her voice is so strong and so, like, intense and awesome, and then mine is a lot more subdued, which for the song itself actually created a really cool dynamic emotionally, because, like, I'll explain that what the song's about in a minute, but, like, for this I had to make sure that her voice was there, they were both kind of even keeled, basically. So, like, one was not above the other one in terms of strength, and that actually took me a while to do. And I'm shocked that I got it, but I did, and I think it sounds really cool, and I'm excited for you guys to hear it, because honestly, it's like, it took the song to an entirely different level, mixing wise, and then my vocals being what they actually should have been in the first place, and it just creates a great emotional center to the song. So, to explain the song, I actually wrote it years ago. It's actually about two coworkers of mine from a long time ago. We became friends, all of us became friends, and we'd hang out, and the guy's a really nice dude, and then the girl ended up, joining us at our job, and she had just been broken up with her boyfriend had just broken up with her, which was obviously devastating for her. It was also, like, her first ever relationship in general, and it was still, I mean, in my opinion, it was still a very adolescent relationship that she had with this person, with the guy. in the way that she explained it. It's like, okay, I get it. It's kind of a naivety that came through, and she's a really nice girl too. So they sort of started like hanging out together, but like as a group with all of us that we'd go hang out, and the whole thing was like she was terrified of the idea of basically dating anybody, and this guy was really really nice, and they were connecting on a emotional level, and he was basically kind of, you could tell he was kind of trying to say, hey, not everything's going to be terrible. So the whole song is written in the two perspectives. It was written actually in the guy's perspective, telling the girl like, I understand that things can go wrong, but they don't always have to, and you can move on from something and move into something better. So that's interesting to me, at least. So yeah, I wrote it from that, and then her response to that, and then it kind of goes back and forth, and then the very end it's like, oh, it's kind of a denouement type thing. And then what happened with the recording of the song is when I recorded vocals, I did obviously the male part that I'd written, and then Felicia was going to do the female part, but then I realized that the way our voices are, it didn't fit correctly that way. Like, so what I did was I reversed it. So I made when we recorded it, she is that perspective of telling the other person that things will be fine, so that her powerful voice has a positivity about it, a hopefulness about it, and a strength to it. And then my voice is a little more subdued, a little more questioning, and it just worked out so much better for the song's story anyway. So like, kind of dumb luck worked out really well. The reverse tracking of the story itself. So that was how we ended up recording it, and it just turned out great. I'm not going to say the people's names. They're very nice people. I know both of them still. I haven't talked to them in a while, but funny enough, they never ended up dating. She is now married with children and lives in a different state than he does. And if any of you guys out there that know me are trying to figure out who could this possibly be, only thing I'll say is it was a person in a band, and it was not me. So there you go. That's a hint for you. But yeah, other than that, it's just such an interesting process to try to mix someone else's voice. I mean, obviously, if there's instrumentation, I could probably do that no problem, because it's like I know how to mix and get the sound quality that I want out of that. But like with someone's voice, that's such a calling card for somebody that now I realize how important it is, to me at least, for someone else to be excited about what the outcome is from a mixing, from mixing, mastering, and having something that they've entrusted me to make sound right. I mean, obviously Felicia's recording of the vocals were just spot on. The raw tracks are amazing. Like, there's nothing wrong with those, but the mixing is just a whole different thing. It's a whole different ballgame. And it took me a while to obviously get to it, but like, I'm really happy I did. It turned out really well, so I hope you guys enjoy it. That is about it, but yeah, it's just it's crazy how much it changed that song. Like, the re-recording of my vocals, and then the remixing of everything involved in it. I didn't add anything to it, I don't think. Yeah, there's obviously no drums in it. There's nothing. I added some violin. So I added two separate like violin tracks, and they sort of go back and forth. So it kind of coincides with each person going back and forth all the way through to kind of tell a story in itself through that little musical thing, because the guitar track is just a looping guitar riff. It's like a finger pick riff thing. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot, actually, but it doesn't have any sort of change to it. It just, there's a little bit of a chorus to it, but nothing like tells a story itself. So I had the violin sort of tell a story there. But anyway, that's about it. I will post it up at the end of this thing. I'll tell you a couple more stories, because I'm here. I just thought about them, and I was going to tell them anyway. So, funny thing about, we went to Halloween Horror Nights the other night. I believe it was Wednesday or something. And this is how dense I can get. So we were just hanging out. Felicia had to use the restroom after one of the houses we went through. So me and my friend Andrew were just kind of standing around. Andrew's here, and I was here. And then there's some dude just hanging out with a couple what I thought were buddies. Just like 2 feet to our right. And we just kind of looked over, and I looked up. The guy was tall. That's all I know. I know she's tall. I'm like, oh, that guy's got a cool haircut. Didn't think anything of it. And then just because, kept talking to Andrew. And then when Felicia got back out, for whatever reason, all the entourage of people, and then Andrew, me, and Felicia all kind of converged and started walking toward. Well, it was toward the exit, but we weren't going to the exit. We were going to another house. But funny, the person who was walking behind this tall gentleman kind of went up to me. I didn't kind of go. Went up to me and went like this to my to right here. So kind of went like that to me, and kind of scooched me out of the way, right? And I was like, what the hell is that? And then did the same thing to Felicia. But not, it wasn't aggressive. It was like just kind of almost like a cutting in type thing, just kind of cutting in, whatever. And then did the same thing to Andrew, who was up in front of all of us. And the funny part to me is at first I was really upset. Why is someone pushing me out of the way? I mean, granted, it was not an aggressive push. It was just kind of like a nudge, or like a cutting in thing. And then the funniest part is Felicia immediately realized it and looked up at the guy who was walking, with us, and he clearly had an entourage around him, an entourage of security, as we then realized, and it was Lil Nas X. So Lil Nas X's security detail is very good at their jobs and also extremely nice about the way they make sure that no one's in the way or no one's going to get too close. So that was kind of funny. Lil Nas X is also very much taller than I expected. Granted, I'm 5'6.5", so I'm not really the authority on height. So, but yeah, that was pretty funny. And the funny part, the only thing I really noticed at first was the guy who was clearly the main security guard guy that was making sure that no one was getting in the way. He had a shaved head and a long beard. He actually looked a lot like one of my friends named Ricky. So that's the only thing I actually really noticed at first. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy looks like Ricky's pushing me out of the way. Okay. But yeah, then it's once I realized that it was a security detail, I actually thought, oh, okay, that guy's actually pretty nice about that. He could have just, knocked me the heck out and moved on and no one cared. But so that was kind of a funny thing about Halloween Horror Nights, and the fact that I am denser than a doornail sometimes when it comes to people, because I've seen all of Lil Nas X's videos on YouTube, and I mean, Old Town Road was massive. So it's kind of funny that I just didn't recognize the guy. Just thought he had a cool haircut and it was tall. Anyhow, I guess that's kind of it for now. I can't think of anything else. But yeah, just wanted to share a couple stories with you. And again, congratulations, Steven. Congratulations, Ashley. Have a great night, I guess, because literally your wedding reception just ended. And I will talk to you all later. And enjoy the song. I'm going to post it at the end of this. See you later.